Hello and welcome to another Overlord lore video, and as usual thanks to my Patreons for supporting this channel. Now today we will discuss the sad fate of Arche and how completely avoidable her death and that of her sisters were. But before we do so, I have a revelation to share with you. If you have ever wondered how much this lamp costs in US dollar, I have been able to answer this question. Link to the video in the description. And as you probably already have noticed, it is likely the single most important Overlord lore video in the entire history of ever. But now to the main topic of this video. Arche by all accounts is a tragic hero. She had grown up rich and sheltered, in her more or less loving but completely out of touch noble house. Her family's influence and wealth meant that she could go after her passion, the thing she literally had a talent for: studying magic. And as an apt pupil she managed to become proficient in the casting of third-tier magic at a relatively young age, which is quite the achievement if we consider that Nabe's claim to third-tier lightning magic made some jaws drop in the Adventurer Guild back in the second book. But while Arche studied and her parents spent other people's money, Jerkniv took office, and while her parents weren't exactly bright and dangerous enough to warrant an immediate execution, Jerkniv instead stripped them of their title as nobility. Now bereft of all land and previous income, Arche couldn't afford it anymore to study, because she now needed to earn money in order to support her family and her beloved little sisters. And therefore she sacrificed an incredible bright future. Had she kept studying by the time the Empire became a vassal state, and flew the Paradine, the pupil of the Sorcerer King himself, Arche might have been able to seize his position, if not as a court magician, then at the very least as the elite student that could judge other people's magical abilities, since she had the same talent as Fluder. A talent Ainz potentially might have paid a handsome amount of money for, or even granted her an exalted position within his new-founded Adventurer Guild. Somebody who could judge magic potential surely would have had many uses. But since she needed to make money in order to pay her family's debt, she dressed in her magical girl outfit and went to a part of the city where young girls with the necessary talents could sell themselves for money. In the Singing Apple Inn, a tavern used by many workers as a makeshift base, she met the worker group of Foresight, that most unfitting of names for what was yet to come. And together with them she went out on dangerous missions, facing death and just barely overcoming it numerous times. And even though she made it that far and earned quite the handsome sum of money, she never upgraded her gear, or bought more items than she needed, simply because she gave most of her hard-earned money to her family. But a lifetime spent in absolute luxury and affluence never taught Arche's parents where the money comes from, or that you can't just spend it all on a single silly lamp while your butler lacks the necessary money to buy food. And here's where Arche's second sad fate started. She realized far too late that her parents, especially her father, was not simply hit with a couple of problems. He was the problem. Blinded and occupied with his former statues, and focused on Jerkniv, his sworn enemy that didn't even realize Arche's parents still existed, he completely neglected his family. And so after numerous times where her parents recklessly spent the money their oldest daughter literally risked her life on numerous occasions for, she made the resolve to take her little sisters out of the house and start a new life. And all she needed to do is to earn enough money by doing one last job. A death flag so huge and vibrant, she might as well have carried Mormon's personal flag. Long story short, they go in and never made it out alive. Despite Arche knowing how risky it was, she still resolved to explore the Great Tomb. Furthermore, at least part of the reason why Arche's death caused such an uproar in the Overlord fan community is how completely avoidable her end truly was. We, the audience, know that she isn't a bad person. On the contrary, she deeply cares for her sisters, they are her family, and she has to protect them at all costs, even if she has to risk her own life on a dangerous endeavor. To her, invading the tomb and even battling in air quotes Schaltir was acceptable, because she does it for the people she cares the most. And it made it all even more sad and tragic that her two sisters were afterwards sold into slavery by her neglectful, decadent parents. But none of that mattered. In Ainz's mind she was just a grave robber, that dishonored the Great Tomb with her mere presence. And at the end of the Invaders of the Great Tomb arc, it absolutely needs to be highlighted how close Arche, both in character and action, is to Ainz himself. Because the part that honestly caused the most problems is, at least in my opinion, not the fact that a likable, well-intended, carrying anime girl was killed, and how completely avoidable all of this was, but how close this hits to home. We know that Ainz isn't a bad person. He deeply cares for the NPCs of the Great Tomb. They are his friends' children, and he has to protect them at all cost, even if he has to risk his own life on a dangerous endeavor against an unknown enemy. To him, battling Shaltia and risking to be attacked by a hostile alliance of players, or indeed an entire guild, was worth it, because he did it for the people he cares the most. And yet this very action might bring upon his own death, and might start a civil war inside the Great Tomb of Nazarick, which would make his action all the more sad and tragic. Because Albedo has a very own perspective on the whole friendship Nakama return of the other guild members thing. The reason why the succubus was less than pleased about Ainz's obsession with the guild, to the point where he risked his unlife to save a, from her perspective, traitorous NPC, is because she didn't have the attachment to the other NPCs and the guild. On the contrary, she dislikes them for abandoning them, and she values Momon over the rest and thus clearly understands the risk Momon's passion brings to his own life. Just as Arche got herself killed by fighting for her little sisters, Ainz might get himself captured or killed, or indeed eradicated, by for example fighting Shaltia on his own, playing bait during the Lizardman War arc, and the Splatfest. And with the Theocracy and the Elf Kingdom being the focus of the next volume, Albedo might finally be driven to act. If Aura or Mara are captured, or more likely if the communication is lost even for a brief period of time with the Twin Floor Guardians while the Elf Kingdom and the Theocracy fight, Ainz might try something risky to rescue them, which would also make the Arche arc great foreshadowing, and Albedo, presented with yet another risk to Momon, might finally act. And with this rather worrisome thought I put in your heads, I will end this video. But before we come to the usual Patreon readout, I want to say that A. Yes, this video about the lamp inspired me to draw the connection between Arche and a possible end for Overlord, and B. I will also upload another video, this time about how rich the Great Tomb of Nazarick really is, and if it could potentially just buy the world instead of conquering it. So if you're interested in that and many more finance-related videos with a focus on anime and game universes, I would greatly appreciate it if you give my second channel a try. And now finally, with everything said, I also want to read your opinions on Arche's death, on the similarities between her and Ainz, and if you believe that Ainz might end in a similar manner, or if he perhaps learns from Arche's fate, like he learned a thing or two from Clementine. And with that said, I say thank you very much for watching, and special thanks to Andy, Angel of Death, Bad Guy Yee, Boyzilla, Chrissy, Diabetic Centaur, Dystopia, Elika Bird-Schlief, Thales Catus, Feral Shivon, Gigafight, Ghost of Epicness, Hector Moreno, Hoss, Yellowbait, Jason, Kleinator, Chromius, Large, Lord Touch Me, Lord Ulbert Elaine Odell, Luces Ollie, Majima, Matt, Matt C, Marcos, Mr. Shoes, Mindless Wrath, Minnow 13, Mirtis, Nfiria's Potion, Primus 11, Sasuga Einsama, Sebastian, Shadow Lightning Wolf, Surge, Sparkly Unicorn, the Orc Warboss, Rak Edsmasher, Vash Hawkeye, Zoggo, Bane of the Lord, and Zonagorn. Thanks guys. Anyway, have a nice day, over and out.